Welcome back to Developer Roadmaps. In this explainer, we're going right back to basics. We're going to map out the foundational HTML tags that literally act as the skeleton for every single website you visit.
Think about it like this. Before you can have a person, you need a skeleton, right? It's the same exact thing for a web page. Before we can start adding all the cool stuff, text, images, any of the visible content, we have to build that core structure first.
So, what are these essential bones? What are the absolute, non-negotiable tags that form the backbone of every single HTML document? Well, by the end of this explainer, you're going to have the blueprint to build this foundational structure yourself, every time. Okay, so here's our roadmap. We'll kick things off with a quick refresher on elements and tags. Then, we'll build our skeleton piece by piece. The document declaration, the main root element, the head for all that behind-the-scenes data, and then the body for all the visible content. And finally, we'll put it all together and see the complete skeleton.
All right, before we start building, let's just do a quick memory jog on our tools. Remember, an element is just a piece of a web page, and we create it using tags. Tags, like a starting P tag and a closing /P tag, mark the beginning and end of that element. And don't forget attributes, those little keywords in the opening tag that give us extra info. Okay, with that fresh in our minds, we're ready to build.
So the very first thing you'll find in any modern HTML document, well, it isn't actually an HTML tag at all. It's really more of an instruction, a command for the browser. Let's take a look. This is the Doctype declaration. It has one job and one job only, to tell the web browser, hey, this page is written in modern HTML, so render it correctly according to the official standards. It's what stops the browser from having to guess and switching into some kind of old legacy mode.
And this is exactly why it's so important. Without that doctype, a browser might slip into what's called Quirks mode. You can think of it as a weird compatibility mode for really old, non-standard websites from like the dawn of the internet. It can lead to all sorts of unpredictable, broken layouts. But with the doctype, you guarantee the browser uses standards mode, which makes your page render predictably and consistently, just how you designed it. The key takeaway: always start with this declaration to avoid total chaos. So this single line right here, this is our starting point. Every HTML file you create from now on is going to begin exactly like this. It's the very first piece of our skeleton. Okay, with our instruction in place, it's time to add the first real bone, the main container that's going to hold everything else. This is the HTML element, and just like the name suggests, it's the root of the entire document. Every other tag we write, except for that doctype, of course, has to live inside this HTML element. It's the top-level container for the whole page. So you can see how our structure is starting to take shape, right? We start with the Doctype declaration, and then immediately after, we open our HTML element. This creates that giant box that will enclose everything else on our page. Now, inside our HTML element, the skeleton actually splits into two main sections. So let's start with the first one, which you can think of as the brain of our web page. It holds all this crucial information that, while totally vital for the browser, isn't stuff that's directly visible to the user. This is the head element. It's a container for what we call metadata, which is really just a fancy way of saying data about our HTML document. This info is absolutely critical for machines, like web browsers and search engine crawlers, but your users won't actually see any of it rendered on the page. So what kind of information goes inside the head? Well, first you've got the title tag, which is what sets the text you see up in the browser tab. Then we have meta tags. These are super important for things like character encoding. Using UTF-8 ensures all your text and even emojis display correctly in any language. Meta tags also give page descriptions to search engines. And finally, this is where we put link tags to connect our CSS style sheets and script tags to bring in JavaScript. And structurally, the head is the very first element you nest directly inside the HTML tag. So our skeleton now has a brain, ready to hold all that essential behind-the-scenes information. Okay, now for the exciting part. We've built the brain, now it's time for the rest of the body, the part that everyone will actually see and interact with. And this is the body element. It's actually really simple. Anything and everything you want a user to see on the page. Text, images, videos, links, headings, the whole shebang. It all goes inside the body tags. You only get one, and it contains all the visible content. And here's the final piece of our core structure. The body element sits right after the head closes, like a sibling, but still nested inside that main HTML container.
With this, our skeleton is now structurally complete.
All right, we've assembled all the core bones. Let's just step back for a second and look at the complete foundational skeleton that we've just built.
This right here is the key takeaway. The Doctype, HTML, head, and body, they aren't just random tags we throw in there. Each one has a distinct, critical job. And together, they create the logical and necessary backbone for any web page. And here it is. Take a good look. This is the complete, non-negotiable starting point, the boilerplate for any modern web page. You can see every piece we talked about, all properly nested. The Doctype at the top, the HTML tag wrapping everything. Inside, there's the head with a meta tag for character encoding and a title for the browser tab. And right after it, the empty body, just waiting for our content. This structure is a massive checkpoint on your developer journey. This is your starting block. Seriously, commit it to memory.
So let's just quickly recap what we've accomplished. We have successfully built the skeleton. We have a solid, standard-compliant structure that every browser on the planet will understand. The bones are in place. So, what's the logical next step? Well, it's time to add some muscle and skin.
Our skeleton is waiting, so are you ready to add some flesh to these bones? Join me in the next explainer, where we're going to dive into headings, paragraphs, and finally give our page some real, readable content. This is Developer Roadmaps. Map your path. Build your career.